Welcome back. It's Wednesday, so another upload. I've been talking the last couple episodes about slowing down and how that looked for me, why I actually wanted to slow down, and just kind of like the lessons from that. And today I wanted to kind of move that step forward to a phase which I've kind of labeled as like integration. And essentially, for me, as someone that is usually moving forward at the speed of light as fast as possible to the next thing, I always skip this stage. So how it's looked for me the last 5-10 years is what I will do is I'll push, and I will drive myself to achieve whatever goal it is, whether that's in the gym physically, whether that's a mental achievement, whether that's in my career, and I will achieve it or get very close to it, and I will burn myself out, and I'll go, okay, cool, it's time to slow down, it's time to relax and rest, reset. And then as soon as I hit that point, like I'm in now, where I feel good, my body sort of feels strong, my mind feels sharp, and I feel sort of responsive and excited to take those next steps, I usually just hit the accelerator and off I go again. But what I have been trying to do differently this time, and that's what I want to speak about on this video, is just allowing this space in between to essentially integrate whatever it is that has kind of kept me driving forwards for the past few months, but even sort of the past year. So for me, how I am understanding integration in terms of my life and where I'm at, it's the part where I'm no longer resting. So I was actively choosing to rest and take days off and take moments to just let myself breathe. And now what I'm trying to do is kind of have this phase in between where nothing new is necessarily happening on the outside. Like, it's not a case of I can sit here and say, look at all of these steps that I'm now taking. It's this middle part where it doesn't look like anything is happening on the outside, but on the inside, and I can tell you for a fact, everything that is sort of just passing and processing, the ideas that are coming up, the thoughts and feelings and the moments of inspiration that I'm kind of having, that's a stage that I never usually let myself get to, because I'm already at the point where I've slowed down, I've started to feel a bit more energized again, and then I panic about the fact that I stopped. I panic about the fact that I slowed down. So I'm like, okay, well, we better get back to work, we better be productive, we better start moving forwards, because you've just slowed down for a few days, a couple of weeks, whatever it is. So I guess like maybe you understand from the process of like you go on holiday, right? Or you take a couple of weeks off the gym, usually like because you got injured, not usually because you want to. And then as soon as you get that feeling of, right, I'm walking back into the gym or I'm walking back into work, it's like, I must do everything that I didn't do the last 2 weeks in day one. And you just blitz it, and the whole longevity game just goes out the window. You're not trying to play the game where you learn from that period of slowing down and all of those things that came in, and when your body starts to actually go, no, I needed that rest, look how much stronger I feel, look how much better position I'm in for you to build from. But rather than starting slow and building from it so then it doesn't happen again, you just go, oh sweet, well I can move again. So you just start running at the pace that you were running before, you start lifting the weights that you were lifting before. And that's the point where I'm at, and I'm back in the gym and I'm back doing movement and things, but I'm very much like doing everything from a very reserved standpoint. And it's the same in my sort of mental space with content creation and my online business that I'm setting up. It's okay, cool, I feel inspired, I have ideas, I feel motivated to get on with it and start moving forwards again. But at the same time, I'm trying to go, well, those few weeks where I chilled out and I allowed everything to just come back down to earth, they were actually really productive. And I don't want to be in a position where I have to force myself to do that again because I've burnt out. So Now it's a case of this integration stage where I'm not chasing the next thing and I'm not escaping the last thing. I'm not running away anymore. I'm in this middle ground space, which obviously feels uncomfortable and new because it's not a space that I allow myself to stay very often. And the thought process and the hope is that within this discomfort, you actually start to see what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want, what went wrong and why did it go wrong, what went well and why did it go well, and then actually learning from those things. So not necessarily sitting here and journaling or coming up with a long list as to the pros and cons and trying to almost start working again to like teach yourself how to not have the same thing happen. But it's just a case of letting everything breathe and almost planting those seeds, so throughout the rest of the year you'll just sort of grow in a sort of linear way. And obviously nothing is linear, that there's always going to be ups and downs and changes and unexpected things that come up. But I'm just trying to go at this from the perspective of the last few years. I've always just kept running. I've always just gone, okay, well, this is making me feel uncomfortable, or I don't know what it is I want to do next. So I will just run over there, or I will head over there. I will take this opportunity, or just try this and try that. And trying things is great, and doing things is great because it gives you more information, it gives you experience, and it enables you to learn from that experience. So I'm not for one instant saying just sit and wait and hope that someone knocks on the door and is like, oh, here's what you're going to do next. But it's just having confidence in this kind of liminal space in between and avoiding that temptation to do something about it, because we are not motivated by success. We're not motivated by the outcome. We're much more motivated by the discomfort. So when you feel unsafe, you want to change it to not be unsafe. When you are hungry, you go and eat something because you don't want to be hungry. The discomfort is much more motivating. So when you find yourself in these spaces in between and you are uncomfortable and you worry about what's coming and you worry about what's next and you worry if you've made the wrong decision or if you should do something, you're much more likely to make a decision based on impulse, because you're trying to control that feeling of discomfort. And that's where I'm at and what I'm actively choosing not to do. So the last couple of weeks it's been, okay, well, this is fine. I can sit in this. I can pick up some work as and when. Like the days that I was sort of feeling good, I was sort of doing a few hours and got a lot done. The days where I still had that, almost like that crash or that slip back into the exhaustion, because it's kind of like rebuilding, I just allowed myself to just breathe. I think sometimes action feels productive even when it's just avoidance, and I think that is something that I'm massively guilty of. Is I will always try to be doing something because it tells me and my nervous system that I am working towards something, when the reality is, and what I found in my experience is, I'm actually just avoiding this discomfort, this sort of middle ground of actually allowing things to download into my headspace and come to a good conclusion or come to a decision which is what I want, is how feels good for me, but instead I rush ahead. And I think that's the really cool thing about January, because traditionally we see January as it's the time to go. It's the time to lock in the first of the month. Okay, what is it you want to achieve this year? What are your resolutions? What are your intentions? And that's something that I've always just been inundated with since I was at school and since I was young. It's even sort of like giving things up for Lent, and I'm not religious, so I don't want to start speaking about something that I don't fully know, but it's the process of, right, okay, now it's time to start doing this, because you need to start making changes, because it's the 1st of January. It's the start of the new year. You want to get better, you want to improve. So what are you waiting for? So we all start these diets. We start the journaling every day, the daily steps, the whatever it is that we choose, we're going to start working on. And come the 10th of January, we're all miserable, we're all tired and exhausted, and we wonder every single year why this happens. And I think in some cases it's good to have those directions and those goals. Things like Dry January, I think, are great, but it's just, but for me, it's understanding what January actually is if you look at the rest of sort of the world. So naturally, if you think about it from like an environmental perspective or the animal kingdom perspective, nothing happens in January. There's nothing growing. The animals are still asleep. They're still conserving energy because it's still very much winter. And we don't start to see those lighter nights until obviously sort of middle of January, but it doesn't start getting brighter noticeably until the spring. And that's when everything starts to bloom. That's when nature starts to grow. That's when animals start to come back out again. So why do we fight what is natural? And I'm not saying, okay, it's January, do nothing and just sit on your ass and wait, but it's allowing that space to integrate. So autumn is when everything falls apart, all the leaves fall off, everything dies, right? So you then move into this space of winter where you can actually just let yourself just be, let yourself reset, let yourself conserve energy, let yourself put on weight. It's cold. Like, you don't need to be shredded all year round, and you don't need to be shredded anyway. It's not even the healthiest way to live your life. So by all means, set some intentions. I'm doing that. I am looking at it from the perspective of January is for planting those seeds. January is for the roots. It's not for the results. So that will come in time. And if you use January effectively and work within what it is that you want to work in, and you set those good intentions, but you don't exhaust yourself, then come February, March, come through into the summer, when you have that sort of natural increase in hormones, in emotions and feelings, because it's lighter outside, you have more energy, you feel better because it's warmer, then that's when you go. That's when you're going to have the drive. It's so hard to do anything when it is pitch black outside, when it's cold outside, when it's miserable. And I am not for 1 second going to take the manosphere approach of it's hard, but you do it anyway, because ultimately it just leads to you burning yourself out, hating it, getting injured, getting more depressed, and you just give up because it's not fun. And it takes a certain level of person to be able to push through those things. And I think not to criticize that way of life, because I think I've been guilty of doing it in the past, but when I have been the most consistent and when I have been the most motivated in the gym, and I've been the leanest or the strongest, that's been when I've been the most miserable, because the gym or whatever it is that I'm working towards is an escape. So I'm not regulated, I'm not happy, I'm not confident, I'm not comfortable, but I'm pushing. So then from the outside it looks, oh wow, look how good he looks, look how strong he is, look at the transformation he's made, but I'm miserable. So is it really better to lock in and push yourself at 4 a.m? So that brings us to sort of the close of this. I'm not going to speak for much longer. Just want to kind of wrap it up as to where it is that I'm sort of choosing to stay. So as I said, I am very much focused on this kind of integration phase, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm integrating for the next 3 years. But I am allowing this space to kind of develop. I'm not forcing the clarity to come. I'm not sort of disappearing. I'm not rushing ahead. I'm not running forwards or running backwards. I'm just trying to let the next chapter kind of reveal itself without writing it out of fear. because that is something that I usually do. And in order to keep growing, we need to sit past the discomfort, not react out of fear. And that will be when the clarity of what it is that I really want and what it is that you really want arrives, because you'll actually allow your feelings and your mind to speak to you rather than compensating with fear, with worry, all of those feelings that I sort of spoke about earlier that drive you to make a change or drive you forwards. It's not the success that you want, it's to avoid this feeling of discomfort. So yeah, this one is mainly just been about integration. I've not really spoken about where I am or what I'm doing, but that's fine. I will be back next Wednesday, and I might do another one over the weekend just to give a bit of an update as to where I'm at. But I just wanted to kind of speak from the perspective of what it is that I'm going through, and maybe that you can relate to it or take something positive out of it. You might disagree with absolutely everything I said, and that is absolutely fine. But hit a like and let me know in the comments if you agree or you disagree. Let me know what it is that you're working on and what it is that you think January is for. And don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next Wednesday if I don't see you before.